as I said, everywhere I go now, I sell lots more steaks than books. And people call me every day. I had 2 calls on the way up here to Nashville yesterday of people crying, telling me stories. And many of them are putting up sticky notes with verses or making their own steaks. It's the act of faith. And what I realized is markers on the land are all through the Bible. Blood on the doorpost is a marker on the land. Piles of stones and altars were markers on the land. Circumcision was a mark on the people. Colossians 2 says baptism is spiritual circumcision. He's still marking his people. But then I also realized that I used to think we only had 2 weapons against evil, prayer and God's Word. I'm up to 34. And I have a lesson on that that's part of my 6-lesson series. I have a 4-day seminar, Demons versus Prayer. I have 800 PowerPoint slides. And the longest lesson is the lesson on spiritual weapons. There's prayer plus touch. There's prayer plus oil. There's prayer plus fasting. In fact, at one point in his ministry, the disciples couldn't cast out a demon, and Jesus did. And they came to him and said, why couldn't we cast out that demon? And Jesus said, well, that kind of demon can only come out with prayer and fasting. Sometimes prayer is not enough, even from the mouth of Jesus. So I have realized you can combine some of these. And I have people that say, well, my son left God 10 years ago. I prayed every day. Nothing's happened. Have you tried prayer plus fasting? And they go, huh? It's a biblical concept. Get some people together that love your son with you and fast together with them. We've seen breakthroughs. Have you tried laying hands on him and praying and doing oil and fasting too? No, I hadn't. Try that. There's more than just prayer. In fact, let's take a New Testament example. The woman with the issue of blood. She had been praying for 12 years. I guarantee you she'd been praying. She wanted to be rid, and she had to yell unclean to everybody she saw. She wasn't allowed to even be with her own family. She'd spent everything she had to get well, and she was worse off. And so she decides one day that if she touches the hem of the garment of Jesus, she's going to be healed. Now, I don't know why she decided that, because there's no direct command, apostolic example, or necessary inference that should happen. I know the terminology.
Got to have those 3, one of those 3.
There's no direct command, apostolic example, or necessary inference. She just decided it would work. In fact, when you think about it, she's disobedient for not yelling unclean. They probably know her because she's yelled unclean for 12 years, and she hadn't been able to be around anybody. She probably has her head, kind of cowl pulled up, and she's sneaking in there. And when Jesus said, who touched me, the disciples go, what do you mean? There's people everywhere. She was bumping into people trying to get to him, and she touched his hem. And there's not a verse that says, if thou shalt touch the hem of the garment of thy favorite rabbi, thou shalt be healed. It's not in there. But she does it anyway in disobedience because she's not yelling unclean. And when Jesus says, who touched me, I'm guessing she thought she was in trouble. You nasty, disobedient woman. You're a covenant person. You know better. You should be yelling unclean. Jesus didn't do any of that. What did he say? He said, sister, your faith, your act of faith made you well. Okay? I contend that if she had decided, if I touch his hem, I'll be well. But I'm just going to keep praying. Prayer's enough. Fervent prayer's enough. She'd have never been healed. And we wouldn't be talking about her today. I think God rewards acts of faith, and that's why Jesus didn't do many miracles where there was no faith. Faith and miracles are connected.